Do you realize that your life today could be so dramatically different in 6 months from now that you couldn't even comprehend that it would seem like an alien, like as if you are watching a movie and it has like completely no relation to the life you currently live today? Do you realize that? And the only thing that's stopping you is not the how. It is not the how. It is all in your mind. That is the only thing that is stopping you. I remember when I first got started in real estate investing as a wholesaler on my own, because as you guys know, I grew up in Puerto Rico, came here to the US, lived on welfare and food stamps, eventually then made my way to real estate as an agent, failed horribly, and then I had the chance to work with a bank selling their foreclosures. One of the investors that was buying most of my properties said, hey, why don't you come on board and help me? I did that with him. I spent a year with him, and then that 1 year then laid the foundation for me to go out on my own. In the meantime, I was understanding and getting to know direct response marketing, and that's when I came up with my postcards during that time, and then started to be on my own. And I suffered. I was struggling. I had a $192 mortgage payment at the time for a small little condo, and I was in foreclosure. If you can imagine, $192, and you can't even pay that. And then my break happened, and all of a sudden I went from making a couple $1,000 a month to 6 months later making the most amount of money that I've ever made at one single time, which was $110,000 6 months later, and then moving into a house that was 10 times the size. And it happens all the time. You know, right now, I'm living in an area here in Fort Lauderdale in a very nice neighborhood. If you can, many times you guys have commented on the channel, you know, in terms of the view here. And I got to tell you that I was living in a house in Hollywood, Florida. I'm trying to see if I can make my way across this grass without messing up my shoes. In Hollywood, Florida, and in that house, I wasn't happy. I was stuck. I was stuck on wanting to get out, but I putting all these obstacles away that were completely unnecessary. And then I hired a coach, and the coach asked me to write down my goals. And I told him what my goals were. And you know what he told me when I told him my goals? He said, wow, those are really crappy goals that you have there. He said, you need better goals. What would really excite you? And I said, you know, it excites me to get the hell out of this house and move into another house. And he said, well, let that be your goal. And he planted that seed. And then what ended up happening is that then we were in California. We came from California, and I said to my wife, I said, hey, just for the hell of it, let's go ahead and smell the leather. What is that? That sounds like a really robust helicopter. Geez. Oh yeah, huh, that's interesting. Okay, hopefully you can hear me. I ended up coming from California. I ended up getting that guy as a coach. He told me that. I said, hey, let's go out and smell the leather. Oh, I should be watching out for the cars. Let's go out and smell the leather and look at some houses. And what ended up happening is 30 days later, I was in a brand new house, even though I was stuck on not wanting to be at my current house for over at least 2 years, that I was dissatisfied. And then wow, they got some sprinkler action going on over here. I don't know if you can see that, but that's a really nice house. I've shown you that house before. But what did it take? Was there anything magical that I did? Was there any skill that I acquired? Anything in any of those instances? No. It was really a mindset shift of just, you know, that 1 degree turn in how you think about things. And I was thinking about that for you in terms of maybe you're stuck and you haven't gotten your first deal, and you keep on acquiring more and more information. And yes, there's a benefit to acquiring more information, because sometimes you don't know what to do, and so you need to be able to figure out what you need to do. Too much traffic in here. You need to figure out what you need to do. So you need that. But once you do, I mean, how many, like for example, if you're going out there and doing, I don't know, let's say you're doing cold calling, right? How many damn YouTube videos you need to watch on cold calling? You know, the time that you spend on cold calling, you should just be cold calling, right? So there's a point in time at which you have to let that information go, and you have to then transition, right? Transition to not knowledge, all right, but to get into that state of mind, that state of being that's going to help and transform your life and push your life in a completely different direction. And one of the things that I think about here as I wait for lots of traffic here today. As I wait One of the guys that I follow, his name is Kevin Trudeau. He was a guy that sold mega memory, and he went to jail because the FTC got on his ass, blah, blah, blah. Don't, you know, I'm not telling you to do all that, but just, you got to separate. Sometimes you got to separate the individual. You know, sometimes individuals have superpowers, right? And they use those superpowers for bad things, and they go to jail. But that doesn't in any way discredit their superpower, right? Something, the same could be said of, say, that guy Jordan Belfort, right? That he went to jail for defrauding people, but he's really good at training salespeople, right? So don't take that away from him. So Kevin Trudeau, you can actually look this up on YouTube. He has a course called My Wish Is Your Command, and that particular course, he talks about one of the most important things that you can do is feeling good. Putting yourself in a positive state, in a, you know, the law of attraction talks about that, is putting forth a vibration, right, that then now moves you in a different direction. And if you think about it, when you go to a Tony Robbins seminar, he does the same thing to you. Like, he will go ahead and put you in a peak state, right, where you're jumping up and down, you're screaming, and then you get into this heightened state, and then at that point, then he anchors, you know, your next actions, and next thing you know, you're moving in a completely different direction. Your whole life has changed, right? I'm not saying that I've never been to Tony Robbins, but I understand what he's doing, and so you get my drift. So, you know, bottom line is how do you get into that state? How do you get into that state? Well, a shortcut to get into that state, the shortest way to get into that state is through other people. Because if you try to do that on your own, if you're trying to figure that on your own, then it's very difficult, because you're horrible at being your own doctor, dissecting your own problems, understanding your mindset and what the blocks in your mindset are. And I mentioned this in a previous video that I did a couple days ago when I hired the trainer that I did, Wes Watson. And then I ended up, was asking him a bunch of questions, and he was like, dude, your questions that you're asking are so flawed. They're completely flawed, and that's the reason why you're having issues right now. And then when you're ready to make a change, you let me know. And then in the end, what ended up happening is that that switch, all of a sudden now I'm working out, and like I just feel differently, right? I wouldn't have worked out today, but I committed to working out. I'm absorbing his mindset of do whatever it takes. You're gonna move. You're gonna do whatever it takes in order to have success and to do whatever it is you need to do, and that's the mindset that you need to have. And the thing I think about is that you got to put yourself around other people that are thinking in different ways than you're thinking, that they're thinking bigger, that they're thinking in where you want to go. And don't be prejudiced in the way that, I'm not talking about prejudices in black or white or anything like that, but rather that we all have biases. And you look at somebody who maybe has a bunch of tattoos and it looks a certain way, and you discredit them. But you know, you're discrediting potentially a message that could help you. You're discrediting somebody that could really move your life in a different direction. And so, you know, I just feel like I just finished working out. I didn't want to work out this morning. Why? Because my legs hurt. They felt like they were still hurting for 2 days ago. And yet I still went through the workout, and at the end, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. And in the end, I felt great. I feel like this sort of energy, like my body just feels like it's got additional horsepower because of the fact that I'm putting myself through this pain. I'm growing my intensity muscle. I'm growing my discipline muscle. And that's what I encourage you to do. You have to think of things in that way. I'm trying to just say to you today that your success, the success that you want, is right there. It is within striking distance. It is so close that it's undescribable how close it is. But yet it appears so far to you. It appears so far to you. You need to bridge the gap. You need to bridge the gap, and the best way to bridge that gap is to allow others to hold out their hand and bring you closer. And I'm a big fan of getting mentors. And I don't have a mentorship program that I'm trying to offer you in this video, but I can tell you this, that I'm not telling you something that I don't do myself. I have now 2 coaches. I'm looking to get a 3rd coach. So I take out my credit card and I make investments in myself, and I make commitments in myself that make me feel uncomfortable, to continue to grow and to be that person that I know that I can be. And I just want to encourage you to do the same. And I just felt compelled in this video to really take out the camera and share with you this message. And I'm going to put a video here that shows up of a video that I did about a year ago that's going to come up. I think you should watch it. And it's really about the mindset. And that's where I was a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years. And when I look at that video and I look at where I am today and the direction that my life is moving, like it is different. And it's just interesting watching that transition. So take a look at that video, and again, make sure you subscribe, hit the notification bell, and I'll talk to you later.